It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Well, you're with Expresso, your feel-good breakfast show here on this Thursday morning, only on SABC3. And we're back with Professor Mark Ellyne, with whom we were chatting earlier about the domestic reaction to the election of Donald Trump as the 45th president of the United States. Now, there's also, of course, a lot of big global reaction to this development. Professor, thank you once again for being back with us. So let's talk about the fact on the international scale, what does it mean now for the rest of the world, how they're reacting? But before we get there, I want to just ask you in terms of Hillary Clinton. Now, she ran, of course, for president back in 2008, and then now she lost both times. Do you think she's going to run again come 2020?
I think this is the end of Hillary Clinton and the Clintons. This is very symbolic. Clinton represented the status quo and had some momentum in the Democratic Party. But I think the Democrats have to take a look at what's making them tick, because it didn't work. So I think that's history. Donald Trump we have to ask ourselves what he means for the United States and for the rest of the world.
That's it. So let's talk about that, the rest of the world. I mean, what has been, we spoke about some of the local reactions, but what does this now mean for the rest of the world? Because, I mean, we've seen, I think the big thing that people were going on about immediately when the news broke that he was elected as president, markets fell, but you're saying they are back up again. So
yeah, this is an interesting phenomenon. The market originally, before the U.S. market opened, S&P futures were down something like 5 percentage points. This is huge. And yesterday, the Standard & Poor's closed up 1.5%. And there's another technical measure, which we call the VIX, which is about some sort of volatility. And it actually went in a favorable way of reducing the volatility of the stock market. So the indication from the stock market yesterday was very positive as opposed to negative. And if we ask ourselves about this, I think we have to ask ourselves, what does Donald Trump represent? And one thing is he represents a pro-market sort of force. And that may not be a bad thing. I mean, pro-market means, it could mean more deregulation. It means anti-corruption. He's talked about spending on infrastructure in the United States. So these things actually may play out to be somehow very positive for the U.S. economy. On the global side, we have to, he's also taken this sort of protectionist view, and he has this isolationist sort of stand. Now that has a different impact on the rest of the world. Because if you're protectionist and you don't want to lose American jobs, or you want American companies to come back to the U.S., that may not be so good for our trading partners. And if you're isolationist and you don't want to be involved in politics abroad, people look to the United States for guidance and for money. And it would mean maybe foreign aid might go down as well to developing countries. So I think there's a difference in what he stands for, of how it affects the rest of the world and how it affects the U.S. This isolationism is sort of an important theme.
Well, I think at the end of the day, only time will tell what's going to be happening with those relationships with the U.S. as well. I mean, very, very interesting indeed. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and just giving us your take on Donald Trump as president. And we'll just continue following this story and see, and we'll probably get the professor back in a couple of weeks or so as well to talk about the developments afterwards and what does it mean for the rest of the world as well. Right now, though, it is that time of the morning. Let's catch up with the news headlines. Here's Leanne.